Hello, everyone. This is Josh and Dan at Monastery Dropouts. We're happy to come to you today. And Dan was telling me about some interesting experiences of expansion. And so we thought we would talk about that. And so why don't we just start, Dan? Why don't you tell us that your recent experience and we'll kind of go from there.
Sounds good. Yeah. So we just want to talk about kind of what it feels like to be expanded in consciousness. And uh, one experience I'd had recently was when I was walking around my neighborhood and expanded in consciousness. So I'm sensing uh, the space and also sort of consciousness far around me, maybe, 100 feet around me or so. And I noticed everything looked very beautiful, but it all looked the same. And the beauty, the sense of the beauty, the perception of the beauty seemed to be coming from the wider consciousness. For some reason, being tapped into that, I perceived a greater beauty. And
Yeah,
so that was very interesting.
do you feel because I know exactly what you're talking about, and I feel like when I perceive it's almost like a lightness or like it's like a glowingness. And for me, I can actually in this more subtle body, I feel like I can feel that consciousness. And for some reason that feeling that plays into the peace and the joy. It's almost like you can feel those things within you. Is that how you perceive it too, or is it different?
You mean like if you're looking at a tree, you feel the tree within you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's a little bit different experience for me, just in that, yes, I would agree. Like I sense the tree and I sense its being, and so that is part of the beauty. I guess I don't see it as inside me. I do see it as like I'm a part of this. So it's just really just a bit, it may even be the same perception, and we're just labeling it slightly different.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know there's been times where I'll just be out somewhere, and if I'm in that deeper state, I'll almost like tear up or like well up,
Mm,
and it's like if like a piece of if some wind blows, I can feel it against my skin, and I can and like the tr like a tree's leaves start to rustle. It's I don't feel the wind in the tree, but I can the movement is somehow blissful. And I don't know if
mm.
it's from me perceiving it within myself or it's me seeing the movement, but in that state of spaciousness, I feel like I can feel that movement and it's really beautiful. And it's like I can feel like it's I can feel the movement as a piece of as a type of bliss within me. Um, so yeah,
Feeling the movement of the objects outside of you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. In those deeper states, it's like
Oh,
and I
okay.
can't. I don't know if it's from me perceiving it with my mind, and then like that movement translates into the piece from that consciousness, or if it's I can feel the movement within me. What I'm saying is it's similar to what you're talking about, where like when you're in a deeper state of consciousness and you're expanded, it somehow interacts or you can feel it. You can feel the physical world differently than you would if you're just in your like physical mind, in your physical body. So,
Right.
and it's like for me, I move in and out of those wider states. Sometimes I'm like stuck in my body and I'm stressed and I think this thing is all there is. But
Right.
most of the time I'm trying to feel that expansion and like that consciousness around me. And so in those states, there's an interaction with that consciousness in the physical world where you feel more of that like kind of heavenly nature of it.
Right. Yeah. It's like it it's like you've gone to heaven, but you're right here.
Yeah. So what was the experience that you had? Like tell us more about that experience.
Well, that was a experience I had a couple weeks ago, and then uh, just in the last few days, it's been a little bit more of an expanded experience and a little bit more freedom to expand up, a little clearer connection, such that I'll be walking around my neighborhood and the top of my being, what feels like it's about a few 100 feet up. Um, it almost feels like I'm touching the clouds with my consciousness, just like, most people would just feel like, oh, the top of my head is right here. I'm feeling it, hundreds of feet up. And of course, it doesn't feel like my physical head, but it feels like part of my being.
Yeah.
And if I focus on the part of my being which is higher up and tune into that, uh, it's a higher vibration than what's in my physical body. Although as people and so somebody who's very new, if they have that experience, they might know it might be an incredibly stark difference. So they say, oh my gosh, when I'm my consciousness up there feels so good. It's all full of love and joy. And in my physical body, I don't feel good. I feel sad or anxious. I feel tight but as as I tune into that uh, higher light body more and more, it begins to change my lower body such that the vibration in my lower body now is closer to that. It's not the same, but it's as you kind of get cleansed out. That the higher light just takes away the darkness over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and I think for me it's easier to understand like that body instead of like a higher vibration, it's easier for me to understand it as a more subtle body. And
Mhm.
so that's why like when we have disturbing emotions or like these rampant thoughts, that subtleness is blocked out because
Mhm.
there's these thoughts and emotions are more coarse. And so it's just like that it covers our sense of perception. And that's why like, clearing the mind and clearing the emotions and being calm, once those waters calm, then you can sense these wider bodies. And one thing I
Right.
wanted to say is for people who don't haven't experienced that, because I'm thinking of myself when I was younger, I wanted to experience it. It's not something that's magical or something
Mhm.
that you need to achieve. It's just a matter of calming yourself. And if you, even if you feel a little bit more peace in yourself in meditation and you feel calm and you feel like your body vibrating,
Mhm.
that is the beginning of that wider sense. And you don't really need to push or like stress out about it. The more you experience that calmness and the calmness of your own mind and meditation, your body eventually will just start, your sense of body will start to slowly expand. Um, and
Right.
like they always say that you already are enlightened, you just don't know it. And it's because those wider bodies are already there and you're just not fully conscious of it. And so as you at this filter of the mind, once that filter opens up, then you start to perceive it. And so it's I feel like there's this idea that there's not really a challenge or a goal there. It's just a matter of every day working on feeling more peace and feeling more centered and letting the thoughts and emotions and desires and all those things go so that you can perceive more clearly.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing on this planet because you incarnate in this little body and you're given amnesia. I think other places in the universe you retain your memory, but it's very challenging here to uh, become enlightened because you've forgotten everything. The only thing you remember, the only thing you know is what you've experienced here.
Yeah. And that's one of
And
the cool things too about being here.
yeah, I guess it is one of the cool things. But, but yeah, it makes it very challenging to be on this planet and sort of graduate from it.
I feel like that's one of the cool things about this world. I don't think I intended to say that in the beginning of this video, but it's really cool that we get to experience that slow expansion and we don't remember that original state. I think that's one of the purposes of being here is just to experience life in these little physical bodies, but eventually it is nice to expand outwards a little bit.
Yeah. And I know you've had experiences of wider consciousness as well. And were there any in particular you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I think that idea that when and maybe people do experience things in different ways, but for me, as long as I'm calm, no matter what situation is happening, it becomes very joyful. And so,
Hmm.
um, what was the thing that that person that lived with Eckhart Tolle said that thought she felt like she was living in a float tank,
Oh, yeah.
because he, and I can
Right.
perceive that he probably was just neutral about everything, and he probably just felt peaceful and okay with everything, and so no matter what she was doing, he probably didn't respond. The funny thing is, my experience in relationships with that is not like, usually the person gets very very frustrated because they're
Mm,
worked up, and they're like, if the person's worked up and they're upset about something you did, and you're like, oh okay, yeah, I'll just do whatever you want, and like we'll shift it. A lot of times that neutral feeling and being okay with everything, a lot of times people don't like that. They want you to
mhm.
respond to them in an emotional way, and like figure it out on an emotional level. But if you're just neutral and you're not playing into those emotional vibrations, people can get upset. But the thing is that you're just feeling peaceful, and that's the best thing long term. And but I think some people feel that you in relationships, if you feel that peace when there's conflict, the person can feel unheard. And so I think it's important to communicate with the person, saying like, I understand how you feel and I'm going to try to rectify this situation. But you don't have to necessarily get involved in being upset. And so that's one perception of that wider feeling, because a person can be upset with you and you just feel so much bliss and so much joy that you're interacting with the person. Um, but it's hard when someone's upset with you and you're just like feeling just bliss and joy with them interacting with you, and you're not like getting involved in like their anger, their excitement, and they can feel unheard because of that.
Right. Sometimes they want to join you. They want you to join them in their low state of consciousness.
Yeah,
I've had an experience. It was a couple of years ago, and it was amazingly clear. A person I worked with, they were very, I guess they were, I would say they were kind of afraid or nervous about something. And they were like, what are we going to do? And they came in my office and were talking in my office. And I was in a very high state of being at the time. So I didn't care.
yeah,
um, but I physically felt myself being pulled down to
yeah,
them. And I'd never felt that before. Um, and it's a strong pull, even though I was just by talking with them, there's pull, it's like it was like I could, it was when I say physically being pulled, I mean my energetic bodies. So I could sense my energetic body, and it felt like I was being sucked down into a lower dimension.
yeah,
So when the person left the room, I was like, okay, I do feel like I'm in a slightly lower state here. It's hard to avoid that when you're talking with somebody and you're really engaging with them.
yeah.
Uh,
It's interesting in the sense too that if you say, well, everything's fine, and the person's really worked up and they want something to change, and they're scared or something's going on, and you're like, well, it's totally fine, like we'll just figure it out and we'll get it
yeah,
taken care of. People do not A lot of times people do not feel reassured by that.
no,
They want you to be excited about it, and like they want you to have a plan that involves this excitement and like this need for fear and things like that. And so you would think that just being stable and be like, okay, yes, it's fine, we'll take care of it. But some people they want you to get pulled into it so they feel that they're heard completely. Um, and that can be a challenge in those, if you're in that state.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So when they left my office, I just shut the door and meditated a little bit, get myself back in that higher state.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Yeah. And I think I've talked about this before. I mean, talking about being feeling expanded. I've had experiences where I feel very, very expanded outwards, and then I can perceive a lot, kind of like you're talking about, like very, very high up and expanded way outwards, and then you feel the bliss of that consciousness, the expanded consciousness, and then you're just kind of walking around perceiving things through this little body consciousness too. And so it's hard to take things seriously, what's happening with the body when you're in that expanded state. And so, um, but it's a very cool thing to be in both and to be functioning as a physical body in the world and also in that wider state. Because you almost feel like two different things at the same time. You're involved in two different types of bodies at the same time. One's a much more subtle spherical body, and the other one's like this little person walking around. And so it can feel like life becomes almost like a video game where the little body is just kind of functioning and operating, and then you're kind of watching it. Um,
Right.
so so all those fears and things that happen within life, and like even like physical pain, there's no judgment with the pain. It's just their sensations. And like doing the cold bath every day. I do a cold bath in the morning, and it's really cold. That's painful for my body, but if you're in that state when you do it, you just feel sensations. You're like
Mhm.
your body feels like these jolts of pain and sensations, but you don't feel like I need to get out of it. I need to fix this. It's you
Mm.
just feel fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know for myself, sometimes pains will come up and it will, literally be old emotions leaving the body,
Mm.
past hurts and worries and things like that. Um, so I try not to judge pain too much anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So I guess I'll close up and I'll just say that I think for people who haven't experienced those wider states, you probably have. You probably have in the sense that you felt peace and calmness within your body, and maybe you felt energy move. And I would recommend just continue to work on that and just when you're not feeling peace and calm all day long, just try to calm the mind and focus the mind and focus on that spiritual sense. And over time, things will happen. I mean, for Dan and I, it probably took decades to slowly move into that. And it's not something that happened when I started meditating when I was like 15. It took 10, 15 years to start experiencing some of those deeper states. And so persistence and just sticking with it is a big thing.
yeah, totally agree. It's consistency is key. Do a little bit of meditation every day, and
Yeah.
um, one day you'll probably will notice some interesting sensations either outside your body or just within your body. I mean, it's you don't have to expand into the heavens to have spiritual experiences. So,
Yeah, and I would say one thing that our teacher Cielo said was when you have a deep meditation, just try to stay in that state of consciousness in the here and now as long as you can into the day,
mhm,
and experiencing those peace. So like when we were at the meditation centers, we would meditate and feel calm, and then we would just like get up after meditation, start talking. It's good to maintain that sense of being here now as long as you can the day, because eventually your whole day will just be a meditation and you'll feel the peace.
mm.
And then slowly you'll feel that more expanded state.
Yeah, that's a good practice.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure talking to Dan and talking to all of you. So have a great day.
Bye, everyone.